Alright folks, John Rush here. Today we're going to do the long version of the 2015. This is the Range Rover Supercharged long wheelbase version. I'll talk about the longer wheelbase versus the shorter wheelbase as we actually get into the review. There'll be a shorter review on this that my son Richard, who's actually behind the camera, also has done. But tell you what, let's take a walk around. We're going to get kind of in depth into this car, kind of show you a few things. Car, SUV, whatever you want to call it. It's not a truck. It is a it's a Range Rover. That's probably the best way to describe it. This car, as it sits with all of the options, is $118,000. So it's a lot of money, but I'll tell you what, it's a lot of car. Richard's showing you the front end. It's got adaptive lighting on the front, HID. The car, truck, whatever you want to call this, it's not a truck. This SUV absolutely works fantastic, and I love the looks of it. I actually like the longer wheelbase. It gives you a ton of room in the back seat, which we'll get into in the interior portion here in just a little bit. But this car just works phenomenal. I don't know how else to say it. It handles well, it drives well. The 510 horsepower V8 supercharged engine has tons of get up and go. This has one of the best sound systems inside of it. It's quiet, it's luxurious. You know, who is this car for? We'll talk about that as we get into the rest of the review. But I tell you what, as we continue to come around the side here, Richard comes around the back, shows you the rear view of it. We'll go take a drive here in just a moment. We'll let you see what that part of it's like. Then I'll come back. We'll go through the interior, and we'll just kind of walk you through step by step all the different features that are on the 2015 Range Rover long wheelbase supercharged. Okay, guys, we're going to take a drive now in the 2015 Range Rover long wheelbase. It's actually called the Supercharged long wheelbase. Let's go through a few features on the inside. I have not started it yet. One of the things that it does have is heated, cooled, and massaging front seats. So literally, let me start it here, and we'll talk about a couple of these features. As you can see, this knob just came up for the shifter. All of your controls for all the different modes are right here in the center stack, which works out well. Electronic parking brake is also right in the middle. Let me close this to give you a little bit better view. Let's cancel out of this real quick. So things that it's actually got. If I wanted to have this car actually park for me, I actually can do that. I go to this mode. It then tells me in this screen up here, if Richard can see this, it's kind of hard to tell, but basically it looks for a perpendicular parking place. Once it finds one where it knows there's enough room, it literally, and I've tried it and it works pretty well. The thing that it doesn't see, and I'll talk about it in just a second, it works pretty well. So when you're driving along and you're looking for a parking place, it literally will back you into a perpendicular parking place. The thing that it doesn't see, and this is where you still have to be aware as a driver. I tried this the other day when I was waiting for my wife out at DIA to pick her up, and there was a trailer in one of the spots, and it was really low, and it did not see the trailer. And had I not been paying attention, I would have actually backed right into the trailer. So again, you still have to be aware of what's going on around you. So just because the camera says it's okay to park, double check and make sure that it is in fact free and clear and that you can pull into that. But as far as the camera system goes on the vehicle, you can actually get full view all around you. All the different modes are here. You can split the screen. There's a curb view, which you can actually then look at the curbs. There's a trailer view if you're going to actually pull, back into a trailer, hook that up. And one thing this car has also is anti-sway built into the vehicle itself. So if you are hauling a trailer, it does have trailer towing capabilities. The receiver hitch is in the back. It keeps that from actually swinging. Full Bluetooth audio, or phone hookup if you would. If you go to the audio system, and I just want to show you this real quick, we'll get onto a station here. Let's see if we can find a station that's actually got some music playing real quick.
Kathy.
Oh.
Which nobody's playing. It's early in the morning, so let's find some music. It has one of the best, as far as I'm concerned, one of the best audio systems of any car in its class. The rear windows, the quarter windows, if Richard can show you clear in the back, they actually are also heated, defrosted if you would. The windshield on Range Rover Land Rovers, it's hard to see in the camera, but there's wires that actually run through the windshield that actually keep the entire windshield heated, which again works out really, really well. So I tell you what, let's take a quick drive. I'm going to put it in reverse, which the camera will then come on. And as you can see, if I was going to pull over here next to the curb, it does guide you or show you where the curb's at, and I can run right up into the curb line, just like so. If I wanted, again, go to this camera and look at a curb view, gotta go back forwards. Go to camera, and Get it there and go back to the curve view. And one thing you just notice is the engine just shut off because I've actually got the eco mode on, which when you stop for a moment to conserve gas, it'll actually put you into the eco, or actually will turn the engine on and off start stop feature if you would. So if I go curve view, you'll now see how close I am to the curve over here. So again, just kind of a cool feature that it's got. Go back to the home menu, and as I start to drive, it'll go ahead and start and we'll proceed. One thing about this car that I do need to mention before we start driving: 510 horsepower out of a 5-liter supercharged V8, and I'm not exaggerating in this at all. I averaged, driving some highway, some city, 23 miles to the gallon. Folks, that's as good as my wife's 2015 Grand Cherokee with a V6 Pentastar gets. So that car is literally half the size of this car, gets the same fuel economy as this car is, which is twice the size, twice the, really probably 3 times the luxury, room inside, what it can tow, all those different things. Again, is this a car I really enjoy? I hope you can see that, yes, I really do. So as we get going, let my foot off the gas, or my foot off the brake, engine starts, and away we go. And I'm going to try to not talk for just a minute because I just want you to hear how quiet the interior of this car is. And I'm going over some pretty good bumps to kind of show you how smooth, how luxurious the car actually is. It also has, and I didn't show you this mainly because of time, and it's hard to do it in the way that we're doing it now, and I think we've done it in some of the other Range Rovers. This car does have ride height adjustment, so if you're going to go off-roading with it, you can raise the height or lower the height. And one thing that it does do because of for ingress and egress is the back end does have an air suspension system, and it does lower down as you're getting in and out of the car, which again makes it easier to get people in and out of the back seat. So just another nice little feature that it's got. But this is a great car. It runs extremely well. I think it's fairly agile. A lot of people are going to maybe argue with me on that, but this car, for the size that it is, the way that it handles, you would not think that you're driving a very heavily weighted, long wheelbase Land Rover, Range Rover, I should say. This car, handles more like a small SUV. The steering is crisp, it's sharp, it works well. The tire and wheel combination, the 21-inch tires and wheels that are on this make it drive extremely well. And being a body-on-frame construction, it's one of the quietest SUVs of its size in its class. And I really have enjoyed driving. It's just got a great feel to it. It's got a real, European, if you would, English, I should say, feel to it. Full climate control here and in the back seat, which we'll talk about in just a moment. The car works fantastic. I'll talk about this as I get into the opinion portion. Only downside, Range Rover, no adaptive cruise for this particular price. So just something to keep in mind. It's not a deal killer for me, but for some people, it's something that you need to pay attention to. Some people are really getting used to the adaptive cruise control, especially on a long road trip. Again, we'll talk about this car, who it's for, what it's designed for in the opinion portion. So continue to watch, and we'll come back and walk you through the interior. All right, folks, hope you enjoyed the driving portion of our review today. And it's a little bit rainy, as you can see, so we'll try to get this done as quickly as we can so we don't get poured on here. But let's go through the back portion. We did a review of this car also last year, so you can kind of compare the two together. There's not been a lot of changes for 2015. Go check out the review we had in 2014, look at it, and then check out this review also as you're here now, or you wouldn't be checking it out. So to open it, you just hit it. It'll open up the top. Rear view camera is here. This also will come down like so. If you use the key fob, all of that clamshell effect is automatic. I did it from the back, which means you have to do each one individually. If I had the key fob with me, it would actually do it all by itself, up and down. They give you a nice mat in this car, which is really kind of a cool feature. Nice big storage, back here. Does have a sunshade that does come down, which is an accordion effect, which works out really well. Gives you nice, privacy when you have this, closed back up. But again, as you can see, lots of room in the back. Let's fold this back up. Lots of room here, which, get all the way back up for you. Lots of room in the back. Nice little kit that they give you here. Power port over there that Richard's showing you. One thing that's nice about this too is you can control the seats forward and back. So this is controlling the driver's side rear seat, and I can fold it all the way up, all the way back. Same thing on the other side. Just depends on how you want to do it. So you can do all that from this back end, which again, really, really a nice feature. If for some reason The automatic doesn't work. There is a pull down. You can lift the gate up, close it, and pull this down. But otherwise, if you want to shut it, you hit the button, and it will automatically close everything up. And again, that clamshell effect. Let's come around to the side. Let me open the door. One thing I want to show you, and I think we showed you this on the last car, which is kind of a cool feature. If you just barely shut the door, it just sucks itself in and makes it shut automatically. So no more slamming of the door. You just kind of halfway shut it, and it pulls itself in, which is again a kind of a cool feature. All right, so some of the greatest features that are in here, and I'll let Richard show you this before I get in the way. Full control of the rear seats from that panel. There's also in this, so you can actually adjust the seats forward, or not forward and backwards, but the rear seat you can move forward, backwards. And in the middle there, Richard's showing you, and maybe we can flip this up and let you know, there's kind of a really cool rear console feature back here for the people in the back seat. You can put some water bottles, different things back there, which is kind of a cool feature. As you get back out to the side doors, good storage out here. Storage here for maps, different things along those lines. I'm not sure who uses a map anymore because all that's built into the phone, but there is the ability to store some things there. Cups here, but let me climb in and show you how much room this car has. Again, this seat's all the way back, and I've got a foot of room in between the seat and myself. Sunroof comes, the screen comes all the way back, and the front portion of the roof actually comes back. Vents back here. Again, all full controls back here for everything that I would need as a passenger. This has to be one of the most luxurious, let me get the center console down, one of the most luxurious rear seats that I've sat in, especially when it comes to the legroom portion. It's extremely nice. Richard, show them real quick too also the Meridian sound system that it has, which this car has a fantastic sound system. We'll get into that in just a minute. One other cool feature that it's hard to show you from the front is back here you can kind of see this slit. There's a shade that comes up into these back windows that you can actually control from the driver's seat, which again is a really, really nice feature. Again, if you've got rear seat passengers, you know, this is the type of car, and I think I said this in the last review, where if you're an executive or you've got a company where you're, you know, shuttling people around, taking them to and from the airport, things along those lines, this would be a fantastic car for that. Put a driver in the front, all of your passengers would then fit comfortably in the back. This is a great, you know, kind of a, if you want to call it a mini limo, or if you've got some sort of a limo service, even some of you guys that are out there in that industry and you're looking for this vehicle for that type of a need, especially if in our area here, for example, we've got Aspen, Vail, some of the high-end ski resorts, this would be a fantastic vehicle for those of you that are in that particular industry. But let me go around to the front and we'll continue on with the interior. All right, folks, before I climb into the driver's seat, a couple things I wanted to point out to you that Richard was pointing out. One of the things we noticed, if you notice, you know, you've got the body that comes all the way down here to the bottom, and it would have been easy for this particular, you know, car, literally for them to make the door this much shorter, save that much material. But in keeping the door, if you want to call it that, low with a good seal, it just gives you that much more sound deadening inside the car. And this car SUV is extremely quiet on the inside. Richard also noted that, you know, we've got several family members that are over 6 foot. In fact, he's got some in-laws that are, you know, mid 6 foot range, if you would, 6'2", 6'3", and it's tough when you're that tall to find cars. In fact, our pastor is about 6'3". It's hard to find cars that you can actually climb in when you're that size. This particular car, not a problem. All the tall people that we've had in it fit in it just fine. Tons of headroom, leg room, egress, in and out, all of that works fantastic. I'll go jump around to the driver's seat. All right, folks, I'm now in the driver's seat, which is the part of it I enjoy the most. Yes, as a passenger, there's plenty of room in the back. I really enjoy that. One thing I forgot to show you when I was in the rear seat, if you're a rear seat passenger and there's nobody sitting here, you can control how this seat moves forward and backwards just by using the button over here on the side. So if you're sitting in the back, you can do that. Headrests are adjustable. The only thing about this car that I'm not quite fond maybe isn't the right word. With the console being here, maybe if you're a narrower person, it's not a big of a deal. You know, skinnier person, it's not as big of a deal. But these are kind of a, you know, they're an added feature, but it's hard to get the seat belt connected and disconnected with these down. That's one of the downfalls of this car that I noticed, and it's really not necessary. I mean, when you're driving, you've got plenty of room for all of your arms and everything to fit, so that part of it's really not a big deal. I mean, you can put this down. It kind of gives you a little bit narrower. Like I said, maybe if you're a skinnier person, that's what you need this for. They are adjustable with the knob. You can actually make the The armrests go up or down accordingly, which, you know, again, for long drive, which this car really is designed for, kind of a cool feature. Also, the center console, some things we need to show you. Built-in cooler. You actually flip the switch. You could put some beverages in here, and it would keep those cool. Some of your audio and infotainment system things are in here. The mapping system, which they've got the USB jump drive plugged into right there. You set that on top, gives you the ability to put your cell phone or whatever else. And there's kind of a cool thing if you want to put some, you know, like your tickets, parking things, stuff like that. That can actually fit in here or up on the visor, of course, which that works out really well. Cup holders here, which you slide back. One thing about this that I do like is if you have a larger cup, which some of us have water bottles that are fairly good size, you can pull this out and have a nice big opening to actually set that in. Bigger coffee cup, things along those lines, which is kind of cool. And I showed you this in the driving portion, but as I just turn the key on, it'll light up some of these things. And when I go to actually drive, when I step on the gas and start it, the center, this knob actually will come up. That's the shift knob. As far as all the steering wheel controls, pretty standard. Wipers on the right, turn signals, lighting, all of that on the left. Volume knobs. The only thing this car does not have, and I'll talk about it when we get into the opinion portion here in just a moment, is no adaptive cruise control. And quite frankly, Land Rover for $118,000, adaptive cruise should have been standard. Now this car starts out at $106,000, actually right at $107,000. With all of the options that we have on this particular press model, it reaches the $118,000 mark. So that's a lot of money, but as I said earlier, if you're an executive or you've got a business where you could justify spending that money, you're shuttling people around, so on and so forth, it does fit the bill very well. Dual compartments over here, which is kind of a cool, so those open up, give you some spots there. Storage here. You know, it's got good storage. There's storage over the door pockets. Actually, Richard can probably show you over on the side. There's nice storage down below, and even that folds out. So it's got several areas in this front to actually store things, which works out really well. Talked about the sunroof a moment ago, and we did that in the driving portion also. So I tell you what, let me come around that side, and I'll give you my opinion of the 2015 Land Rover Supercharged long wheelbase. All right, folks, my opinion of the 2015 Range Rover Supercharged long wheelbase. One of my favorite cars of all time. Really is. I enjoy driving this car. I like the ride height. I like the handling. I like the quietness of the interior. I love this back seat and how much room's in here. Richard, you know, my son, we were talking, you know, would you buy the long wheelbase or just the standard wheelbase version? I love the extra room. And honestly, as far as parking goes, which I talked about in the driving portion, this car will perpendicular park for you. There's some great features that it has. The extra wheelbase doesn't bother me at all. You would have to be the judge of that. You know, what are the cons on this car? Price. It's a really expensive car. It's $118,000. That's a lot of money. I mean, if you think about it, you could buy, you know, several other cars, you know, multiples of several other cars in this class. Let me rephrase that. Not in this class. In this size, if you would. You know, you could take even a car that has this much room, probably not this much leg room, but you could take a car of this nature and probably buy two of them for what the price of this car is. But what do you get for this car? Total off-road capability. It's got two-speed transfer case, which a lot of cars in this class, a lot of vehicles in this class do not have. It's a fantastic automobile. The con is, again, I talked about it earlier, no adaptive cruise control. It's got lane departure. It's got other features on it. Land Rover put the radar system on it, give it the adaptive cruise control, make it drive itself if you would, and you know what? You'd even get another star added to what I think this car actually does. I mean, it's a 5-star to me already, but you could add another star to it if you'd add a few things like that. Love this car. If you're really interested in it, this is one of those vehicles that you've got to get behind the wheel. Go to your local Range Rover dealer, check it out, drive it, sit in the back seat even yourself. You've got to see how this car actually functions. It's a fantastic automobile. Again, built by Range Rover. Go to your Range Rover dealer, tell them that John and Richard Rush from Drive Radio sent you. All right, folks, hope you enjoyed this last review that we've just done. And as always, we say this, but we really do mean it. Get out, drive the car, put yourself, your family, your pet, whatever you're going to do with the vehicle, please get out, get in it, drive it. Make sure when you go and do that, you tell them John and Richard Rush from Drive Radio sent you. For all of our other reviews, content, things that we have, you can check that out at our website, drive-radio.com. Please go and like us on Facebook, facebook.com/driveradio. And of course, you found this on YouTube, because that's where we put all these videos up. Our channel, Drive Radio, all one word. Go check out all the rest of our reviews. Like it, comment, Do whatever you need to. We want to be here to help you pick out the right vehicle for you, because as we always say, there's really not too many bad vehicles made today. There's just bad vehicle choices. So with that, I hope you have a great evening, great day, whatever it is. Just enjoy, and again, thanks so much for watching.